Hi, I'm Aisher. In this video, I'm going to be looking at having a bit of creative fun with automation in Cubase. So here in this project, I have two instruments set up, one playing a bass part and one playing some very simple drums. And I want to try and make it sound a little bit more interesting. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with applying a little bit of reverb to the bass sound. Now, commonly you wouldn't actually apply reverb to bass, but I'm using it as a bit of a kind of special effect here. So what I'm going to do is add it as an effect send. I right mouse click on it and do add effects channel to selected channels. I'm going to choose the Revelation, which is an algorithmic based reverb. I'm going to call it effects 1 reverb. And add track. You can see now that I've actually added, and it's appeared as an insert, and I'm now going to play this. And there's a lot of reverb on that. I want to do is tailor that reverb sound. I'm tailoring it to have far less low frequency energy. So you can hear the high frequencies decaying, taking much longer than low frequencies. Now the thing about automation is it allows you to play around and do some really interesting things. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to play the bass and see what happens when I play around with this. So I'm going to start by actually automating this. I'm going to press right, and I'm going to enable that effect send, and I'm going to play around and actually play around with the level going to the effects. I'm going to turn right off, and let's go back into the main project page. And you can see here they've actually added that automation. So what it's doing is effectively sending, it's mimicking what I've done in terms of that effects level. And I'm just sending a bit of reverb to it. But maybe that's a little bit too complicated. So actually when I play it back, I can go in and edit all of these and actually tidy it up. But maybe let's just keep things a little bit simpler. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start by undoing that reverb. And I'm going to go back into the mixer. I'm going to set the reverb to -12, so you can hear what it sounds like. Maybe a bit more. And actually this time, I'm going to automate the bypass, or the send basically, so it's actually going to turn the send on or off, and let's have a listen to that. Turn the right off and back to the project page, and you can see now we have these little steps where it's sending to the reverb and not. Let's play it. Oh, I've turned that off at the moment. Let's have a listen to that. So I had it completely bypassed. Let's have a listen now. So it missed that first one. I'm going to draw that in. So I can now draw that and correct it. And if I want to make it a little bit more accurate, notice this, it's snapping to the grid here, and you literally have on or off points. There are no in-between points to these. And I can move these around and actually tidy it all up. I can draw in new points if I want to as well, but I'm just using this to tidy up the automation and adding interest. So really what I'm using this for is not to change the level of channels and do some sort of subtle mixing and change, using it for sort of traditional kind of leveling or things like that. I'm going for a much more extreme effect. So you can hear that's working quite nice. I'm just going to keep it looping around this 4-bar section here. Equally, I can do things where actually maybe I want to play around and actually use it on the insert. So I'm going to try a little bit of delay here and actually add, let's try, keep it really simple and just do a mono delay. So this time I'm going to open up that mono delay. The mix is set 50-50. I'm going to push the low filter and the high filter up, so it takes the low end and the high end out of the delay element of it. And I'm going to change this delay time. Let's have a listen to what it does. Maybe we'll take a little bit too much of that low end, and let's bring that a little bit back there and see what that does. So let's try automating that, and this time I press right again, but this time it's in the plugin window. And let's read that back. And we can go crazy if we want to. We could even automate those. Maybe that's a little bit too much, so let's stick back to that sync option here. And let's have a look what it looks like in the main project page. So you can see here that this is actually the feedback, and you've actually got different lanes applying to different elements, all related to this particular track here, and we can play around with the different automation. What I'm going to do here, actually, I think I'm just going to keep it a little bit simple. Let's just take some of these points out, just grab those, delete them, and I'm going to just use it so actually there's a little bit of feedback towards the end here. Go a bit crazy on that bit, and then it will just cut the feedback out. Let's see how that works. Delete that one there, and it goes straight into this feedback. Actually, just drag it in there and a little bit of curve. Let's have a listen. You can see here what's going on with the feedback. Let's push it a little bit earlier. Let's change the delay time a little bit. Let's make it rise a little bit more so it actually rises over the period of this. Let's listen to the bass on its own. And this time I can apply a little bit of filtering. So I'm going to choose a filter. In fact, I'm going to use let's use the morph filter here. There's actually 2 filters in one. And I'm going to actually not worry about using let's use just the low pass. So as I keep it down here, let's have a listen to what that does. You can see it's overloading quite a bit here, the level. I'm going to bring the channel down a little bit. And let's try adding a bit of automation to this. And see how it jumps back when I'm looping, and it automatically switches off the write mode. It's not writing any more information when I'm not actually holding the control. If we go back into the window, the main project window, you can see we've got another lane here. We've got the morph, which actually hasn't recorded anything in there, which we could change, but we've got the main thing, the frequency, and we can draw that in. And of course, we can do other things. Now we've actually got our drum channel there. We could add a reverb send to it. We could spin a little bit of reverb on. Let's have a look at what that's done. You can see here, it's actually, we want to add it just before, let's do it just before we get that little clap, sort of snare-ish sound there. Let's just add it on that alone and see what that sounds like. You can hear it coming up. You see, it's sending it quite loud to that. So I'm going to drop the level of that a little bit. So you can see that automation, and this is just a really quick look at some of the things you can do with automation, which go beyond just straight leveling. It allows you to do interesting things with effects, from quite creative things. So you can turn a very simple bass line part into something much more interesting, a bit of delay, a bit of reverb. And of course, we could try a whole load of other different types of processing and go much deeper into some of these aspects. But the automation can be used to control any parameter. So any of those plug-in parameters, and they might be plug-in set up as insert effects or as send effects, we can automate them, and we can really make the mix sound far more interesting. Just a simple 5-bar loop can really be sort of spiced up using some of these techniques.